Brittany from prettyhandygirl.com. Today I want to show you how to strip a front door. Recently I tried to paint this door and for whatever reason the paint wasn't sticking to it, so my only course of option was to strip all the paint off down to the bare wood and start over. Today I'm going to show you how to strip paint off of a door. Before we get started, I want to talk to you about some safety equipment that you need to wear. You definitely need to wear eye protection to protect your eyes from any of the stripping chemicals from splashing you in the face. You also want to wear good chemical resistant rubber gloves, and you may need to wear a respirator. I've actually checked this door for lead paint, and none of the paint that's here is lead. If it was lead paint, you would definitely want to wear the respirator. I'm also today going to use the Citrastrip stripping gel, which doesn't have any harsh fumes, so I really don't need this respirator. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, you really don't want to brush back and forth. You just want to get it on pretty thick on the paint. So this door is sat for about 15 minutes with the paint stripper on it. And now I'm going to go ahead and take a stripper and I can just lightly scrape the paint and it comes right off in these kind of goopy mess. As you can see, there's several layers of paint underneath. So what I need to do is go ahead and test this layer again to make sure that there's not lead paint underneath, and if there is, I'll need to wear a respirator. So I've checked it and there's no more lead paint. So I can keep stripping. You can actually scrape in the edges with either the edge of the scraper, or you can get in there with a wire brush. Once I get down where I can't really get into the grooves and everything, I want to get some mineral spirits. What I can do is I can dip the brush in there and get any of the excess off. I also found that using a little bit of steel wool dipped in the mineral spirits really helped take off any of the excess that you couldn't reach with your scraper. And because there's still a fair amount of paint in here, I'm going to go ahead and add some more stripper and hopefully be able to get the rest of that up. Just one more scraping. So it's been another about 15 minutes and I'm going to go ahead and start scraping the rest of the paint off, or at least hopefully scraping the rest of the paint off. And my experience is that you will never be able to get every single piece of paint off. And that's okay. You just want to get as much as you can off, and then we're going to go ahead and sand the rest off. Another pass with the wire brush in some of these grooves. This is when it's really good to have your eye protection on, because the mineral spirits can splash up and you don't want them getting in your eye. In fact, it might not be a bad idea to wear a respirator for this part of it. I actually have the window open, so I've got lots of fresh air, but wouldn't hurt. Doesn't hurt to be overly cautious. When you're done stripping, you want to clean as much of the goop off and the paint stripper, and you actually use the mineral spirits to break that down and get it off. I'm going to go ahead and let this dry now until the wood is perfectly dry, and then I can go ahead and start sanding. My door is dry and now it's ready to go ahead and start sanding. So while I'm sanding, I am going to use the eye protection. I'm also going to use the respirator because there's going to be a lot of airborne sawdust and I really don't want to be breathing that in my lungs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a 120 grit. After I've sanded this whole thing, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the 220 grit. For working on a small piece, it's not bad sanding by hand, but when you're working on a bigger piece, like a whole door, you'll definitely want to pull out the power tools. But if you're bringing out the power tools, you really need to have hearing protection. It's amazing how a tool that is loud, but maybe you don't think is that loud, over a period of time it can actually start damaging your hearing. And as a last resort, I like to go ahead and use these pieces of sandpaper and you fold it in half, and then you can really get in there tight, get all the excess out. After you've finished sanding your doors, You want to go ahead and assess if there's any cracks or gouges that you may have made while you were sanding or that were there pre-existing, and now's the time to fill it. So I'm going to go ahead and use this wood filler. The nice thing is that it's actually stainable and paintable, so that makes it really helpful. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and sand it one more time. The wood putty has dried, and I'm going to go ahead and just lightly sand it till it's smooth. And our final step is to go ahead and clear off all the sawdust from the doors. So what I really like is a can of just dusting air to get all the dust out of the corners. And then I can take a damp rag and just wipe the rest of it down. And that's how you strip a door. Your door is now ready to either be stained or primed and then painted.